Long ago, when the world was bright and full of stories, an evil wizard gained the power to touch the face of God. Narrativa, goddess of stories and weaver of our world, banished him to the void, but not before he stole a piece of her divine essence. With this newfound power, the wizard lay a dread curse upon all the world, the Glyph Purge, which struck from the minds of all mortals the knowledge of how to read and write. Now, all that stand between the Isle of Meotia and an age of endless ignorance are the bards, who tell stories of distant lands, exotic creatures, and brave heroes. This is one such tale. Hello and welcome to Challenge Rating Zero, the latest and greatest Dungeons & Dragons podcast to hit the internet airwaves. I am Sam, your Dungeon Master, and I am joined, as always, by my longtime friends and adventuring companions.
Hello, I'm Brian, and I play Hector the Gatekeeper.
Hi, I'm Beth, and I play Rilla Longshadow.
Hey, I'm Alex, and I will be playing Ruger Firehide.
And last but not least, we have the man who calls himself Michael, but who we call Parker. Michael Parker playing the Druid Zurabak. Say hi, Parker.
Hi, Parker.
Fantastic. We have returned once more for a tale of epic fantasy. How's everybody doing this week? Everybody ready to go? Are we still reeling from the discoveries of last session?
If Ruger didn't already have PTSD, he does now.
I am ready to fuck some shit up.
Like the stock market and hedge funds. See, I'm being topical.
Beth, we discussed this. We record so far. That's going to be way not topical.
I'm leaving it in. I'm leaving it in. We are recording this episode on February 1st, 2021, and we're not going to release this for like at least a month. So
by that point,
maybe two.
Everybody's buying dog-based cryptocurrency.
It's up to, what, almost 10 cents?
Yeah.
Yeah, this will be a lovely time capsule. The revolution has been televised, and it's being televised on Reddit. Rise up, proletariat. Let's get this shit done. Anyway, in this fiction... When last we left our heroes, Hector, Rilla, Zurabak, and the lawman Ruger Firehide were traveling through the treacherous terrain known as the Badlands. Our heroes had come into contact with a nefarious agent of the dark and powerful Lord Deceiver, a monk clad all in black, calling himself Varyx, the Hand of the Void. After engaging in some tense hand-to-hand combat, Varyx had retreated with Inga Hilltopple, the halfling merchant who has hired our characters as bodyguards, in tow. Varyx was very clear on his terms. Our heroes were to bring the bard and the book to the necropolis found farther into the Badlands if they wanted to see Inga Hilltopple alive again. Ruger staked out into the Badlands to get a peek at this necropolis, the ruined remnants of a sprawling metropolitan area full of toppled and warped buildings, covered by a cloud of ravens. Upon further inspection, Ruger, as well as Helga and Olga, the daughters of Inga Hilltopple, came across a courtyard with a very troubling sight. A spike of pure blackness, shining like glass and rippling like water, with the surface being marred by faces. A ring of cultists bearing the mark of the stricken surrounded this spike, and Varyx, the Hand of the Void, seemed to be practicing some dark rituals, separating the souls from these worshippers' bodies and replacing it with the darkness of the void. Upon returning to the camp, that our heroes had made with the rest of the Hilltopple family and Sebastian Weaver, a plan was constructed. Not long after they had cemented their plan, the camp that they were sleeping in was visited by a mysterious figure who spoke to Rilla in a name no one had ever heard before. And so we join our heroes now in the dead of night in the Badlands. The only light coming from the cook fires of the Hilltopple family, who speak in hushed tones amongst each other as they glumly ponder the state of their matriarch. And Rilla stands at the edge of the camp, staring down a silhouette that seems rather familiar. The silhouette says, "Oh, my dearest niece, it's been too long since I've seen your pretty face."
I draw my throwing axes.
No, Hector, no. That... Okay, can I see this woman clearly?
This woman is standing outside of the light of your camp. She is silhouetted against the crazily star-strewn night sky of the Badlands. You cannot as yet see her face.
Okay, I cast dancing lights and I surround her in light. That's what I do.
You pull upon your sorceress abilities and channeling arcane forces. You conjure 4 globes of light which swirl around this figure, revealing an elven woman, long ears pointing out of lustrous silver hair spilling down past her waist, clad in a verdant green robe made to look like lush green leaves knitted together. She holds in her hand a very well-worn wooden staff that seems to be made of oak and inscribed with ancient runes. Slung on her hip is a large tome, clasped shut with a metal lock. Inquisitive eyes stare at you from the face of your aunt, Arifin. Arifin the Arcane, the last of the elven mages.
And Arifin, if that's really you, what did you get me for my 27th birthday?
You mean that tiny lizard that you couldn't keep alive? One of my gravest mistakes.
I couldn't unscrew the food jar, okay? I was a toddler.
Well,
Shouldn't have given that to me.
Well, I'm sure we'll have time to unpack that in the future, dear. Now, will you call off your garish glow bulbs?
We're in the middle of a wild desert. I had to make sure it was you. Sorry. And I pushed them away from her, 10 or 15 feet. Could have been a ghoul.
I'll try to interpret that as pragmatism and not a remark upon my features. Are you going to introduce me to these creatures you're traveling with? And she approaches the camp, leaning heavily on her oaken staff. And you all can tell, as this woman approaches the glow of the cook fires that light your camp, that you are looking at a woman of obviously advanced years, but still smooth, lustrous skin, shining hair. She looks like, the equivalent of a human woman in their, mid to late 40s. Very well put together, but leaning pretty heavily on this stick as she walks forward into your camp, her robes swirling behind her.
This is my Aunt Arifin. Aunt Arifin, these are my friends. This is Hector, the gatekeeper, keeper of the gates, and Zerabak is somewhere, probably eating flies. And And
Nope, he's still in Sebastian's wagon.
yeah, he's doing whatever he does. He's a half work with skull paint on. You'll see him eventually. And this is Ruger. We just hired him. He's a lawman.
Yeah, I'm the friend she is paying for.
That sounds dirty.
Well, if your price is right.
Is Sebastian still like? Is he a halfling already, or where's Sebastian?
Sebastian,
Is he
your gnome bard companion, is in his wagon still.
Yeah,
Okay.
Zerback's
Well,
in
anyway,
there.
here
He's
are-
going to be in there to try to minimize the
Absolutely.
damage.
Well, here's one of my friends and my hireling, I guess.
Yeah.
Arafin says, "Well, it is a pleasure to make your acquaintance and all of that. Rilla, we need to talk. Privately, away from any prying ears. We've a lot to discuss."
Okay. Do you have a suggestion? Because we're in a camp full of halflings.
I feel like that's racist.
So,
Come with me, dear. I know these parts well. I've been traveling through the Badlands for quite some time. And she she turns on a heel and starts walking just right back out of the camp, leaning on her heavy staff.
Rilla, you good?
I'm like 95% certain this is actually my aunt. So yeah? Probably?
I mean, did she get you a lizard, or... I thought you kinda...
She did. So that's why I'm pretty sure it's her. So yes, I'm probably good unless she gets mad at me and grounds me again. But I'm probably
Well-
good. And then I walk out.
Just holler if you're dying!
Okay.
I love that. That's great. So yeah, your aunt strides out into the Badlands, leaning heavily on her oaken staff, and walks a good 100 paces away from the campsite, leaving you both shrouded in deep darkness. The only wan light from the shivering starlight shining above you in the chaotic firmament that reigns over the Badlands. Your aunt turns to you, and she casts a spell on a small orb that she pulls out from her pocket, and it shines brightly like a torch and holds it between you. She looks you up and down and says, "My dear, I have to be honest with you, the introductions were just for show. I've been watching you all for quite some time."
You didn't think to maybe just say hello?
I sent the runner to give you that warning.
About my blood being the secret? Or the key? That I can't go home?
You have stumbled into something far beyond you and your friends' capabilities. I have been the only thing keeping you and those creatures you travel with alive. I know your plans. You are attempting a suicide mission for someone not worthy of your attentions. The servants of the stricken? I've been working with them. We have, for the time being, mutual goals, and I've come here to save you from yourself. I know you've had fun on your adventures with this ragtag group of creatures you've assembled around yourself, but It's time to turn your attention back to your people where it belongs.
Okay, so the Stricken have tried to kill me several times. How do you have the same goals? What is the shared goal that you could possibly have with those people?
The Stricken are idiots. They are reckless and opportunistic, but they have power. They've amassed an enormous amount of power. Their forces number in the thousands. They have agents all across the Isles. And this stronghold, the Necropolis, is but one of many bases they have strewn about the Badlands. They are fools, and they will no doubt lead to the destruction of their world like the humans destroyed the lands around us. But that is no longer our concern. In working with them, I've found a way to save my beloved niece and all of our people in one master stroke. But it requires that you give up this foolish journey.
So you're wanting the world? You said it doesn't matter if they destroy this world. The one we live in. The one that's our home. Doesn't matter.
My dear niece, if I have my way, the elven people will not reside upon this world for too much longer. When I told you that your blood was the key, what I meant was that there is a reason that you were studied by the elders. There is a reason that your arcane abilities stood out, and why you were separated from the rest of your friends, why you were so thoroughly experimented on. The Veil was failing long before the Badlands stretched their horrid borders into the Springvale forest. It was an ancient spell cast by ancient elves who gave their souls and their life force to construct it. But it could not last forever. It requires the blood and the soul of a powerful elven spellcaster to repair. You, Rilla, were meant to be the sacrifice that would repair the Veil, protecting our people. The elders were going to use you, sacrifice you, to keep our people safe. And I summarily rejected that option. I have found another way to keep our people safe. One that does not involve you dying. One that will not involve the blood being drained from your veins.
Does that way require that everyone who isn't an elf on this planet die?
I will never understand your fascination with these creatures. They destroyed their world once, and they are on the verge of doing it again. They are beyond help. But with the experiments that the Cult of the Stricken has performed here, the ones that I've assisted them with here and there, I have found a way to take the entire Springvale forest and move it. Move it all, and all of its inhabitants, to another plane. I can send the Springvale Forest to the Plane of Shadow, where we will never be found by any of these foolish, lesser mortals, where their machinations will no longer threaten our kind. Come with me. Leave these bards and barbarians in your past and build a future with your people a future for your people with me.
I gotta be real honest here, Aunt Erfin. I love you very much. I love Dara more than anyone on the goddamn planet. I fucking hate all the other people I grew up with, and the idea of being trapped with just them in a shadow plane forever, while the world I actually kind of like burns to death. Yeah, that sounds like hell. No thank you. No. You know what I think is the third alternate way that we do this? We kill all the Stricken, and then we stab the goddamn actual Stricken in the eye, or something. I don't know. But, there's gotta be a third option, because I'm not spending another, 700 years with just elves? Just elves? No thank you.
I see. I did not realize that your time with the elders had so poisoned you to the fate of your own people. You are an elf, born in the forests. You are part of the Spring Vale. You are...
I'm whatever I choose to be, ma'am, and then I transform myself into a different race. I just turn into a human, because I feel like she probably hates them the most.
Your Aunt Erefin recoils from you as if you were a spider. She... So far gone. I can hardly believe it. I had thought your time outside of the forest would show you the folly of these creatures, how they war, how they scrape, and how they betray each other. They destroy everything in their path.
You're right, cowering in a forest forever, and taking a child's blood, and not letting her have a family, and trying to take her baby sister from her, man, that sure is a better race of people. They sure deserve to be saved while the rest of them everybody else dies. For sure. And then I transform into a halfling. Because fuck you.
Your aunt actually seems taken aback by that statement. She kind of is rolled back on her heels a bit.
The Stricken are fucking evil. They want to murder everyone, and I cannot believe a woman I love who defended me from the evil of the elders is siding with more evil people who wish to do people harm. If you can see that they did harm to me, and you didn't like it, and you protected me, why are you willing to let other people be harmed? Is it because I'm family? I'm your blood, and everyone else you don't care about? Because I can't make that distinction. Personally. If I'm gonna do right for my family, which is Dara, then I need to make sure that the world we were born on survives and potentially is better than when I got here. Like, that's what I'm trying to do. And it just seems like you're trying to burn our home to the ground. It's really fucking selfish.
My dear niece. My little sarsaparilla. You have gained more wisdom than I had anticipated, even watching your exploits as I have. Perhaps I've been myopic in my goals. if I look at what was done to you, we are not so different from the rest of these creatures. Our cowardice is remarkable. In shutting ourselves off from the rest of the world, perhaps we've lost more than we've gained.
I cannot imagine that we are better than anyone else on our planet. We are all flawed. We're all mortals. We just live longer.
Well, if that impudent tone and that hard head of yours is what you've gained from all of your adventures, then perhaps you and your companions do have the grit to claw victory from these overwhelming forces. Though you will, of course, need the help of your elders to achieve it. If I cannot convince you to assist me in my plan, perhaps we shall look for this elusive third option, where everyone holds hands and sings songs. Guide me back to your camp, and I will see if your companions are, well, truly understand what they're up against.
I transform back into my normal form, and I kind of give her like a mean eye, like I'm judging if she's actually lying to me. Like I kind of want to roll a sense motive here.
Then
Should
roll
I?
a sense motive.
Okay.
Just roll a sense motive
Okay.
already.
It isn't good. I got a 7. Rilla has a wisdom of 10, so
Your aunt seems on the up and up. Your aunt seems like she has been fucking like cowed by that lovely screed that you just subjected her to. Your aunt looks legitimately taken aback.
okay. I take a deep breath and I say, these aren't the best circumstances, but I've been searching for you and missing you for years. So, if we're gonna do this, come here. And I give her a hug.
She hugs you back forcefully with all of the strength in her old elven bones. And says, "Oh, my dear niece, perhaps I have spent too long staring into the void. All I can see lately is the darkness around me."
Yeah, Ruger looked at that shit and he's pretty fucked up right now, so I can't imagine what years of hanging out by it would do. Let's go have a drink or something. I think you need to relax.
So after a couple minutes, let's see, Zerback's asleep. So after a couple minutes, Hector and Ruger, you see Rilla return to the camp with this very old woman claiming to be her aunt in tow. Rilla looks determined and a little flushed, and her aunt looks, her eyes are cast down, and she's hunching a little bit as she walks into the camp. She looks like a child that's just been scolded.
I reach into my pack and I pull out one of my bottles of rot gut,
Zerback wakes up.
and I hold it up questioningly.
Oh yeah, I think we could do with some of that. Yep.
Don't tell me that's from Charlie. That's not Charlie's rock gut, is it?
bought it from the same bar I first tried it.
Oh, no. Oh, okay. That's the kind of night we're having. All right.
So you all settle around a cook fire. As soon as you pull the cork off that bottle, Zurabat comes wafting over like a cartoon character, chasing the scent of a pie. And now, the four of you protagonists, as well as Arafin, are now seated around your cook fire.
I'm wearing another one of Sebastian's shirts.
It is horribly ripped in tatters on your big, bulging muscles.
It's gotta be like a baby, like you're wearing a toddler shirt and you're like, how tall? Like 6 foot something?
Oh,
He is, 6 foot even, 200 pounds of half-orky goodness.
yeah, it's basically a bib at this point.
Yeah.
No, he tried sleeve first. He's got 2 rings around the shoulders right now.
Okay. So, Arafin says, well, I have to admit that my original intention was not to break bread with you all, so to speak, but my niece, in her infinite wisdom, has convinced me to lend you some aid in your current mission.
Aunt Arafin got a little racist out in the desert for a minute there. You know, we all have older relatives, it happens. But, I think she's growing from
Hector,
it. It's
quick,
fine.
pour me a shot. This is
Good.
getting uncomfortable quickly.
I do not have shot glasses. Here's the bottle.
We do have Sebastian's cups, though, and they're basically shot glasses.
That's a good...
Hold on, I'll be right back.
I take a long drink out of the
Zervac
bottle.
gets up
We are
and goes over to...
we are sipping hard liquor out of little tiny teacups.
Yep.
Yes.
I pass the bottle back to Hector.
So Zurabat quickly returns with Sebastian's tiny teacups, and you all start drinking rot gut out of Sebastian's fine china. These, like, fucking espresso cups.
I picked these out because they look the most expensive.
I'm still flavoring mine to not taste like rot gut.
Arafin says, well, at least there's some trace of class. And she sips the rot gut and swallows it, makes no face, and says, I'll have a lot more of that, please.
Well, I can respect that.
The forces of the stricken are not drinkers.
What does that mean?
I am Arafin the Arcane, last of the Elven mages. I have been walking the Isle of Meosha since before the Glyph Purge took hold. I have centuries to my name, and for all that time I have studied our world and the arcane forces therein. Since that horrid curse afflicted all mortals, my spellbook, and she gestures to the large bound tome strapped at her side, has been nothing but a prop. When the wars raged and the farmland that used to stretch across this landscape was turned into this, I tried to recover what artifacts I could, catalog them in my memory as best I was able, and find some way to keep my people safe. In my journeys through the Badlands, I've seen horrors beyond description. And only recently has a force made their home here. The Stricken's cultists have set up several strongholds here in the expanses of the Badlands. When they came across the ruin I was using as my base of operations to try to study the impact on the tapestry, I struck up a deal with them. They claim to have the power to decipher runes and glyphs. The one who leads them, this Lord Deceiver, is said to somehow be able to read. It is how they've amassed so much power in so short a time. The past 10 years, we've traded information. I've helped them find the purpose and use, the activation methods for the magical items that they found here in the Badlands, and in return they have shared some of their research with me. Research on how to pierce the tapestry, as the Stricken once did, to get to the divine realm. How to harness and shape the void itself, the effects of which I believe, Mr. Firehide, you saw in the necropolis.
Yeah, I saw it. And I'm not interested in seeing it again if I don't have to.
Well, I have very recently been shown the potential error of my ways by someone wiser than me, despite her youth. I think that perhaps instead of continuing my partnership with these forces of destruction, it might behoove every mortal to assist you in your desperate long shot of a quest. I can share a bit of information about this stronghold and also give you a bit of an edge.
What stronghold?
The necropolis, dear boy. That terrible place that Ruger scouted earlier.
Oh, right. Fell asleep.
Arifin rolls her eyes, and she reaches into one of the voluminous sleeves of her robe, and she pulls out a large crystalline orb, which she holds out in front of all of you. This crystal ball is one of the relics I spoke of earlier. A very useful magical device. It does not require mastery of the written word to utilize. One of the few ways I'm still able to harness any magic at all in this damned world. Allow me to demonstrate. She waves her hand over the ball, and suddenly within the crystalline orb, you see yourselves sitting around the cook fire. Perfectly crystal clear, an image floating in the center of this orb. This technique is called scrying. That's how I've followed you on your journey thus far.
Hector attempts to wave at himself. You know, it's like he's looking back and forth between what he believes to be approximately the where the point is and the crystal ball, and it's really awkward, and
Absolutely,
how you do.
yeah. It's like waving at yourself, one of those infinity mirrors for sure. So yeah, she takes this orb in her hand, and while Hector's doing that, she waves her hand over it again, and the interior of this orb swirls with smoke and then resolves itself into a different scene, and you see within this crystal ball the necropolis. You see, Ruger, what's familiar to you as the base of the clock tower, this giant broken tower that hangs over the void spike that you saw when you went to the necropolis earlier. The forces of the stricken have gathered many old world items into this stronghold. A few magical artifacts to help with their quest, but also something a bit more mundane, though still powerful. In the old world, there were advanced weapons called firearms. They were metal tubes that propelled projectiles at great force thanks to a substance called smoke powder. This substance has been found in great supply at a nearby ruin and brought to the base of this tower. Smoke powder is an explosive. One spark, one small flame could create an earth-shattering, cacophonous boom that is the rival of even the most powerful spellcaster. I explained the applications of this technology to our enemies, and they have, gathered quite a bit of it at the base of their tower. If your plan is to extract the halfling, a detonation would cause quite a stir. Though their prisoners are kept within that very same tower. And she waves her hand again, and the view changes from outside of the base of the tower to just inside, and you see 36 kegs stacked up against a wall. This is where they keep the smoke powder. And then she waves her hand again, and the angle of view that you see shifts. It goes up a spiral staircase, over a cracked and splintery gap in the floor, and down a hall that is the broken top of the tower, which is laying horizontally over the void spike. And you see Inga. She is chained to a wall in this tower. She is not 10 feet from a large wooden throne that is placed near the now empty clock face of this tower, which looks directly down onto the void spike.
I call Helga and Olga over, because even chained up, I feel like they probably want to see their mom.
They sprint over and eagerly look at. They get like way too close to your aunt. Like they both like really just sidle in on either side of her, and your aunt's like, "Okay, we're doing this then. All right." She takes another swig of rot gut. And yeah, Helga and Olga get real closely. Helga says, "Is that our mother? Is that her now, or is that her as she is?" Erefin says, "Yes, your mother still lives. It seems they did not want to take the chance of killing her, while there was still hope for you to bring the bard and the book to them.
Why do they want Sebastian and the book?
I can only guess at that. They do not keep me abreast of all of their plans, but if what they've bragged to me is true, and the Lord Deceiver has somehow gained the ability to read, they will have made a study of every spell book and arcane text that they can get their hands on, making them the most powerful spellcaster in all of Meosha, able to wield the oldest and most powerful spells that the ancient wizards ever crafted. The Stricken's Grimoire would be the icing on the cake. The book that contains the framework for the Glyph Purge itself, a spell so powerful that it can alter the very fabric of the tapestry in which we reside. With a spell that powerful, a few modifications could unmake the rest of the world. This book is the fruition of their plans. If they get their hands on it, it would expedite the process they've already begun by bringing the void into Meosha. As far as the bard, he does seem rather annoying. I can't say I wouldn't want to silence him myself, but if there's any further motivation, I could not tell you what that is.
He's super annoying.
I mean, right? I've been watching you all for quite a while, and I don't understand how you tolerate him.
His screams of terror.
Those are humorous, I will admit.
They pay me to be here.
There's nothing wrong with Sebastian. He's just a tiny little bard man, and he likes being a bard. He's very different, but he's fine.
Your aunt rolls her eyes and takes another shot and says, "All right, bleeding heart, I get it. Everyone's the same."
We're gonna keep working on this, I think. It's fine. You've shown a lot of growth today, and I don't want to diminish that.
This is great. This is like your grandma. You never should have gone to college. You've changed.
All that book learning done you wrong.
Turn you into a fucking commie. So, yeah, Ervin says, so, the halfling is kept in the top of the tower, near the throne that Varyx sits in. The smoke powder is stockpiled in the base of the tower. You can do with that information what you will. If there is anything else you'd like to know about their defenses, ask.
What do you know of Varyx?
Varyx is one of a select group of assassins that work for the Lord Deceiver. They call themselves the Hand of the Void. I do not know how many there are, but they are top agents. They are used for infiltration, assassination, political intrigue. Their specialty appears to be the slaying of anyone old enough or wise enough to have accrued a great deal of information. Everyone they kill is someone that cannot spread that knowledge to others.
So then, will Varyx be the only one of those at the necropolis?
He seems to be the one in charge of this particular stronghold. I've seen only him and his cultists.
So the rest of the cultists can't do the same speaking into our minds kind of stuff that he does?
The rest of them are hopeless fools, fanatics, and crazy people. Varyx is a absolute zealot who has trained his body into a weapon with some ancient fighting style since lost to the world. He is the only one that seems to be able to fight the way he does, though the rest will be armed and more than willing to spill your blood.
How would you get Inga out?
The plan you all made seems adequate. With your rather impressive magical abilities, Rilla, your shape-shifting, which you so kindly showed me earlier, masquerading as the bard you travel with should be sufficient to draw out Inga.
And what of the corpses? Who are those people?
They are the refuse left behind after the initiation rituals of the stricken. They draw followers, more and more every day. The Lord Deceiver communicates through nightmares to those susceptible to his influence. Well, I say he, but none have ever laid eyes on the Lord Deceiver. They come through the Badlands seeking to join their ranks. If their fanaticism does not meet their requirements, they are summarily slain. The rest are taken from the Badlands themselves, dug up from shallow graves, hauled from ancient mausoleums. There is no shortage of bodies to harvest here. No matter where one stands in the Badlands, blood soaks the soil. I would offer only one more warning. I'm sure Ruger saw this himself, but Varyx's skills are preternatural. Not only can he fight armed foes with his bare hands, but his very touch can kill. He is tied somehow to the void itself, especially in this place of power. His followers willingly give up their souls to become vessels for the void itself, drawing more of it into our world. I would be wary if you are to come close to so dangerous a foe.
I don't know, I fought him before. Close up. Almost killed him.
I think that's the rock gut speaking.
We did kill his mount for sure.
Yeah, that I can attest to.
He definitely almost killed me too, but mostly it was his creatures. I was coming into that fight pretty hurt, and I feel like I acquitted myself pretty well.
Yeah, you did alright.
Nah, he's not dangerous.
At this point, Sebastian comes out of his wagon as if he's awoken from a nap. He rubs his eyes. He looks at Zurabak for just a second, sees the torn remains of his shirt.
Zurabak looks back.
He just sighs deeply and shakes his head. Says, "Meant that later? Oh, we have a guest. Oh my word. Who might this be?"
Sebastian, meet my aunt. This is my Aunt Arafin.
The Aunt Arafin? The aunt who sent
Indeed.
that message? The aunt you've been searching for?
Looks like she was keeping an eye on me the whole time.
Oh, well, that's lovely. Family ties and all that. That's great news. Well, Arafin, welcome to our camp. It is an absolute pleasure to make your acquaintance. I'm sure you'll be a welcome addition to our team as we quest to end the Glyph Purge.
I hand Arafin another drink.
She eagerly accepts it. Right, I'm sure. Sebastian, was it? Yes, Sebastian Weaver, Bard Extraordinaire of the College of Everspring. You've met my protagonists, I'm sure? Yes. Yes, I have. It's strange. You look familiar, Mr. Weaver. I could swear I've seen your face before. Sebastian says, oh, I'm sure that's not possible. I think I'd remember meeting a storied wizard, the last mage of the elven people. I'm certain I would have remembered you. Perhaps it's the years catching up on me. In any regard, I've just briefed your protagonists on the state of things as best I could. Are there any other questions you have?
Where are you gonna be while we attempt this?
Oh, my dear, I am going to be in my office in the necropolis, performing my tasks as usual. I was barely able to steal away to try to get you out of harm's way. If they don't see me return, they'll know something is up, and they will be waiting for you. I have to keep up appearances for as long as I can. Sebastian says, keep up appearances? You know what? I obviously missed out on some things. I'm gonna sit down and get some context clues. She says, if things get bad out there, I'll do what I can to assist, of course, but I have embedded myself with these people and done my part to keep you safe. If I part ways with them, there could be ramifications. Also, it could not hurt to have someone on the inside if my niece is committed to her current path.
Sure am. Seems like the only option.
As you say. Well, protagonists, I should be getting back before I raise suspicions.
Before you go, I think we should all share one last drink and a toast.
As you wish. And what shall we toast to, barbarian?
To Rilla the Wise.
Heh. I'll drink to that.
As will I, lawman, to Rilla the Wise.
I love how we all pantomimed taking that shot.
For the listeners, it's very important. Everyone does the shot. It's very good. They do it in unison, and it's great. I can confirm that as the Dungeon Master. Yeah. And with that, Arafin stands up. She takes a few steps away from the fire, looks back and says, Rilla, my dear, I hope all goes well. And I hope that you know what you're doing. We may not see each other again for a while, But know that your aunt loves you.
And I love you very much.
Until the next time we see each other, my little sarsaparilla. And Arafin begins casting a spell. And from the ether is woven before her a horse made of shadow. Its semi-translucent form almost invisible against the dark night behind her. Its mane and tail are shifting smoke. And she mounts up, and the steed quickly.
Wait. I think you need a memory of who you're really trying to protect. Why don't you keep these for me somewhere safe? And I pull out my parents' ironwood rings, and I slip them on her hand.
Oh!
A little bit of light to hold on to in the dark.
She looks down at the rings, and her eyes well up with tears, and she turns her face away from you and says, I am more proud of you than you could know. I hope the world starts to look a bit more like you, and perhaps a bit less like me. And she snaps the reins on her phantom steed, which races forward, leaps, and flies through the air, swift as a bolt of lightning back towards the necropolis. You all spend the rest of the night drinking, like protagonists do, I assume.
And Ruger.
Hector moves over after Arafin leaves. Hector moves over next to Rilla. Sits down next to her. Says, "Family, huh? It's real messy sometimes."
It is. Mine is small, and all the more precious for it, I think.
You okay?
Mostly, I think my aunt got lost out here, but I hope I'm helping her find her way back.
You are a shining beacon. With you as family, I'm sure she'll find her way.
Fingers crossed.
Alright, we should get some sleep, because we're all probably going to die tomorrow.
Yeah, probably.
What's tomorrow?
The day we storm the tower, I guess.
I'd take another shot of rock gut.
All right. So you all spend the rest of the night drinking, eating, sleeping, as you see fit. You wake up the next morning, and as you see off Sebastian and the Hilltopple family, as was your plan, they start making their way back to the northern road, such as it is, being swallowed up by the Badlands. You all start to make your way to the necropolis. The horrid Badlands stretch around you all as you make your way, guided by the increasingly numerous swarms of ravens that dominate the sickly green horizon. And soon the stench of death assails all of your nostrils as you reach the outskirts of a ruined metropolis. The buildings collapsed, fractured, some seemingly tumbled over onto their neighbors, some sunken into the earth, and all of them covered with pitch black carrion birds that squawk and grackle in a cacophony as they swirl overhead in a dense cloud. You start making your way into the city proper with the ravens cawing fitfully above you, and that is where we will end.
Hello, and welcome to the podcast after the podcast, As the Dice Turns, hosted by me, Hector the Gatekeeper. I'm sorry for my excitement. I'm really excited to have this opportunity, and I promise not to mess it up. Our dear friend is still missing, which I probably should tone down the excitement for that reason. And can I just say, we miss you, wherever you are. Anyway, we're here with As the Dice Turns, where we take a deep dive into the psychologically of our characters. Wait. Okay, no, I'm sorry, that was a typo. Anyway, today I will be asking the questions. Let's start with Rilla.
Hello, Hector. How are you doing?
I am doing very well, and I have no nerves, because I am Hector and I am brave. How are you?
So your limbs are just like flopping around? Or does that mean you don't feel pain? Ooh, I poke you.
What?
You said you don't have nerves.
I do not understand the science behind what you are saying to me. But please stop poking me. It's been long enough. That was enough pokes. Please stop. Okay.
It's your own fault for having a deep V. I mean, there's a lot of exposed skin here.
That's by design. Anyway, Rilla.
Yes.
Today I am asking the questions. Are you prepared? We're going to get right down, ask something real personal. Are you ready?
I am ready, sure.
Okay. Who's your bestest friend ever?
Really? That's your question?
Yes. It's the best question.
Okay, fine. Well, I guess it deserves a serious answer, right? So I'll share this, but no mocking. So I don't really have friends, is kind of the thing, besides Dara and Rutherford. So the only best friend that's not, like, blood related to me or that I bought/adopted, was, I think, one person. I only ever met her at at the festivals we'd have when I was a kid, where I could wear a mask. And she always wore one that had an ivy pattern on it. It was always different. And we were a festival house. So I called her Ivy. Don't know who she was. But she found me no matter what costume I was wearing every year for about, 50 years. And then she stopped, and I don't know who she was. So that's my best friend.
That is an incredibly sweet story. Can I just say out there into the ether, if anybody knows Ivy, come on social media, we can do this, we can make this happen.
She's definitely an elf, and I know she's not Dara, because I've seen them in the same place at the same time. And that's all I got.
Those are some pretty solid clues. Ivy, we're looking for you. Okay, she's not answering. Anyway, Rilla, that's very deeply personal answer, and I appreciate you coming on. And I just want you to know that you have friends now.
I do. It's really nice, not gonna lie.
Okay.
Even if one of them might eat me, it's still better.
Yeah, alright. Well, I have to move on to the next guest. You've been sitting here for too long.
Okay.
Alright, okay, we're keeping the pace going. Alright, number 2. Guest number 2, come on down. Zurabak.
What? Shouldn't you be looking for the dead guy?
He's okay. Do you know something?
No.
Is he dead?
Probably.
Zurabak.
Hector.
Zurabak.
Hector?
Who's your best friend ever?
What?
We're doing as the dice turns. Who's your best friend ever? That's the question. Who is your best friend of all time?
Did you find, his reject questions? This is an awful question, and you should feel bad.
Zurabak.
Hector.
Answer the question.
It's not you.
I didn't think it was me. So there. Ha. You didn't hurt my feelings.
Sure I didn't.
That's not an answer, so go ahead and answer the question now.
It's Ruger.
Really?
How do you feel about that one?
Well, I think you are lying to hurt my feelings. And it's not working. It's not working. It's not.
Uh-huh.
Is that your final answer? You're just going to leave your snake out? Just
He knows what he did.
Did it involve the host?
Uh-huh.
Alright, Zurabak, you're actually starting to creep me out, which is, I've gotten a high tolerance being around you for so long, but I would like you to please, we have to move on for pacing. For pacing reasons, we have to move on, so, okay.
Alright, I'm just gonna go bother Sharon, I guess. She still has shaky. That'll be fun.
That doesn't sound okay, but alright. Well, I believe that is all the time we have. No more guests. So I guess we're going to go ahead and end it. What? No, but Sharon, it's my show. It's my show this week. Share it. Alright, Ruger Firehigh, come on down.
Howdy, Hector.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking.
My pleasure.
Anyway, as the dice turns, here we go, asking the question of the week. Ruger Firehigh, who is your best friend ever?
Well, it's not you.
Good. Why does everyone keep saying that?
Well, honestly,
I don't assume we're all best friends, I just wanted... Why does everyone have to feel the need to specifically say that?
well, if I'm honest, Zurabak told me to, so...
Yeah, that checks out.
Yeah, it does. Was that a real question?
Anyway, would you...
Are you...
Yeah, that's the question.
And you're going to ask me a question and you're going to listen to what I say. You, Hector the Gatekeeper, planning on listening to my answer.
I am nothing if not dutiful. This is my job, my responsibility as interim host.
And it has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that Sharon told you to.
It has many things to do with that fact. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Just want to be clear. I'll keep it short and sweet. Man's name was Grayley. He was a fine fella. Man I came to call father-in-law. Dearly departed friend. And that's all you need to know about it.
Oh. I am sorry to hear that.
Thank you, I think.
Okay, you're, welcome. Okay, yes. Well done. We have 3 guests. We did it. I got through it, and I was the best host yet of the interim hosts. Obviously, nobody holds a candle. We miss you. Please, if you can hear us, if you are somewhere safe, if that's what happened, just let us know that you're safe. Please? Please? Okay. Alright. I guess that's all the time we have here on As the Dice Turns. Hector, out.
Greetings, dear adventurers. It is Sam, your Dungeon Master here, checking in with the credits at the end of the show. Music for our little program, including our delightful intro, is provided by the Harp Wolf, Danielle Taylor Williams. You can find more of her work at danielletaylorharp.bandcamp.com. She currently has an album out called Why Are We Surprised When Seasons Changed? You should download that, check it out. It's a real banger. Additional music for the show was provided by Justin Ra. You can find his work at justinra.bandcamp.com, or you can visit his brand new website, justinra.com. He has an album out called Age of the Spirit, which I highly recommend as well. If you'd like to reach out to the show, you can find us on Facebook at Challenge Rating 0, Instagram at Challenge Rating 0. You can contact us on Twitter at Challenge_ZERO. You can find Beth at Dragon, the letter N at Distress. You can find Brian at Dalabrak. You can find me, your Dungeon Master, at Horace Kemp, the number 3. And you can find Alex at Alex Klenke, Klenke. Parker does not have a Twitter, for he is above the blue bird. If you have a question for As the Dice Turns, if you have a critique you'd like to share about the show, something you like, something you hated, feel free to reach out. You can also email us, challengerating0@gmail.com. If you send in an As the Dice Turns questions and we like it, we will read it on air and you will subject our player characters to your grilling, which is, I'm sure, everyone's dream. We have a couple special things to plug here at the end of the show as well. So I have a website, samthedm.com, where I book and schedule professional D&D sessions. If anyone in the St. Louis area is looking for a pro DM to run a game for you and your friends or family, feel free to go to samthedm.com. You can find ways to reach out to me and we can get something going for you. In addition to that, I have recently signed up with a local campground called Sage Mountain Camping. So these folks are located in Berger, Missouri, and they are a Dungeons & Dragons themed campground. I have signed up with them to help them run some events that they have going on this summer. The next large event they're having is in June. It is June 23rd to June 28th. This is basically an entire weekend where you play Dungeons & Dragons at a campsite for the whole weekend. You get a pro DM assigned to you and your group if you come as a group, and from Thursday until you check out Monday at noon, you just play Dungeons and Dragons. I think there's about 30 hours of gameplay all told, and I am one of the dungeon masters running games at this particular event. It is new and weird and cool, and something I certainly haven't seen in the Midwest before. And yeah, you get pop a tent. Shouldn't have said that. Pitch a tent. That's not better. You get to set up a tent on a bit of campground, get a fire going, and play Dungeons and Dragons in one of several open-air gaming stations that they have set up for playing the game, and you get the services of professional dungeon masters, including yours truly. So, yeah, if you're in the Midwest, especially the St. Louis area, it's about an hour and a half outside of St. Louis, I highly recommend you check this out. I will be there running games, and it sounds really, really awesome. So yeah, that is Sage Mountain Camping. You can check them out at sagemountaincamping.com. Click on events, check out what they got going. It is super cool. I will be there, and if you'd, like to play some games run by some pro DMs at a beautiful campsite, you should check this stuff out, man. It sounds super awesome. I think that is everything. Thanks a lot for listening, folks. We got far more story in the can, ready to go, and we will see you all in 2 weeks. Take care of each other out there. Bye.